Hey there, YouTube friends. Today, we're going to dive into the fascinating world of neurons and learn how these tiny cells play a big role in how our brains work. Don't worry, I'll break it down into simple terms, so by the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how neurons function. 1. Meet the neuron. Imagine neurons as the tiny messengers of our brains. They're specialized cells that help us think, move, feel, and do pretty much everything our bodies do. Neurons are like little communication experts, passing messages between different parts of our brain and body. 2. The parts of a neuron. A neuron has three main parts: the cell body, dendrites, and an axon. The cell body is like the command center, while dendrites are like tree branches that receive messages from other neurons. The axon is a long, thin extension that sends messages to other neurons. 3. Communication dance. Neurons communicate using tiny electrical signals and chemicals called neurotransmitters. It's like a dance party where one neuron sends a message to another. This happens through synapses, which are tiny gaps between neurons. Imagine it as passing a note from one friend to another through a gap in the fence. 4. How messages travel. When a neuron wants to send a message, it creates an electrical signal called an action potential. This signal travels down the axon like a spark running along a wire. At the end of the axon, the neuron releases neurotransmitters into the synapse. 5. Receiving the message. The neighboring neuron's dendrites have receptors that catch the released neurotransmitters. When enough neurotransmitters gather, the receptors send a signal to the receiving neuron, telling it that a message has arrived. 6. Excitement and inhibition. Neurons can either excite or inhibit each other. Excitatory signals make the receiving neuron more likely to fire its own action potential, continuing the message. Inhibitory signals do the opposite, making it less likely for the receiving neuron to fire. 7. Integration of signals. Neurons are like decision makers. They receive signals from many other neurons, and these signals can be excitatory or inhibitory. The receiving neuron adds up all these signals, and if the excitatory signals outweigh the inhibitory ones, it decides to send its own message. 8. Passing the message on. The cycle continues as the receiving neuron becomes the sending neuron. This relay of messages is what allows our brains to process information, make decisions, and control our bodies. 9. Complex networks. Our brains have billions of neurons that form intricate networks. These networks allow us to think, learn, remember, and perform all sorts of tasks. Neurons work together in these networks to create the amazing abilities our brains have. 10. Plasticity and learning. Neurons can change and adapt over time. This ability is called neuroplasticity. When we learn something new, our brain creates new connections between neurons or strengthens existing ones. This is how we remember things and get better at skills. Conclusion, and there you have it, folks. Neurons are like the superheroes of our bodies, constantly sending messages and allowing us to do everything from talking to walking. Remember, these tiny cells are the building blocks of our thoughts, actions, and emotions. Next time you make a decision or learn something new, just remember that it's all thanks to these incredible neurons in our brains. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more mind-boggling explanations.